Okay, this is section 8.1, page 348, exercises 12 through 19, all in one video if possible. So, number 12 says, if Tn is determined in an arithmetic sequence, what is Tn minus 1 equal to? That is easier than it looks. Best thing to do, Tn minus 1, is to plug in some variables here, or plug in some numbers to make it make sense. So if that was t, I'm just going to pull a number out of the air, t3, that would be minus Tn minus 1, so if we set n to 3, it would be t2, so Tn minus t2, t3 minus t2 equals what? Well, if we have an arithmetic sequence, we know that t1, t2, t3, t4, the distance between these two is called what? Alright, there we go. Each of these is called the same thing. So what is that? If you don't know, you should be doing math instead of watching videos on math. The answer is on page 343. Enough of that. Number 13. List the first 7 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, blah 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 blah. Well, Fibonacci, very useful in finance, by the way. There's something called the Fibonacci retracement level, where a stock can go up and down and up and down, and it tends to bounce off certain levels. That's 3, A4, A5, A6, A7. That's what they're looking for. And it tells us that this equals 1 and this equals 1, and A3, well, it says where n is greater than 2, so like 3 for instance, we plug it into this formula here. And that formula was an equals an minus 1 plus an minus 2. So if n is 3, this term becomes a2 and this one is a1. So a1 plus a2 is 2. So a4 is a3 plus a2. a3 plus a2, so that's 3. 5 is a4 plus a3. 4 plus 3, that's 5. 6, yeah, you get the idea. On to the next one. Starting salary of an employee is whatever. Each year, $12.50 raise is given, and how many years will the employee's salary be? $50,000. This is clearly an application of the formula Tn equals A plus n minus 1 times d. As a matter of fact, most of these are an application of that formula. In this case, we know that the starting salary, A, is $23,750, D is $12.50 raise, and Tn is $50,000. So that would be 50,000, which is the end point, is 23,750 times n minus 1 d, and d is 1250. Solve for n. I'm not going to do that. That's up to you. But you should do that, not just watch videos about it. Number 15, almost the exact same thing. An auditorium has 8 seats in the first row, or A equals 8. Each subsequent row has 4 more seats, otherwise known as D equals 4. And what row has 140 seats? In other words, which row, which n, gives us a T of n of 140. In other words, Tn equals 140. That's the terminal value, or the value of term n. The first row has 8. Oops, that's a plus up there. N minus 1 times 4. Solve for n. 16. And I know that that's grade 8 math skills, but you should still do it. A well drilling company charges $8 for the first meter, $8.75 for the second meter, and so on in an arithmetic sequence. Ooh, they're tricky. They don't actually tell you what D is. You have to calculate it by going 8.75 minus 8. At this rate, what would be the cost to drill the last meter of a well 120 meters deep? What would be the cost to drill a well 120 meters deep? So if we look at this carefully, the t of n, the final cost, is not given. That's what we're looking for. The first cost was $8. I'll just put those decimal places there because it's money. And it gives you 120 meters. It's the 120th step, or the 120th step up in price of 75 cents. Multiply by 0.75. Okay, so that was a little bit different because you're looking for a different variable. They gave you n. It was 120 steps down the price list. 17 is very similar. I don't get this. I don't know who Abraham de Moivre is. But anyways, 15 minutes more sleep each night, so that's a 15-minute increment, so D will probably equal 15 minutes. Problem is here it's 15 minutes, 24 hours, so you're going to have to decide, are you talking about minutes or hours? If it's hours, then change that to 0.25 because it's a quarter of an hour. Anyways, when he needed 24 hours sleep, he would die. And if he needed 8 hours sleep on September 1st, what day did he die? So they're asking for a date. So if you can calculate how many days down the road he dies, then you just add that to September 1st and you come up with the answer. So it's a little bit more complicated because they confuse you with these terms. But 17, you're looking for the number of steps forward it takes him to die. So you're looking for n. So 24 was the end point. He was going to end with 24, and he started with 8 hours. And it's asking for how many iterations, or how many steps, or how many terms in the sequence at 0.25 each that it's going to take to get to 24. And once that's known, once you have the value of this, you have to add that to September 1st. So then change to date after September 1st. 18. Oh, love these. First three terms are